In this introduction, we will describe the Utah Population Database and the UPDB Limited Query Tool. Let's start with the Utah Population Database, or UPDB. UPDB is the marriage of family history data and medical records. Family histories are created by linking records from many data sources. As of spring 2011, there are close to 15 million records in UPDB. These many records are linked together to identify 6.5 million unique individuals, many with health history and pedigree information. As an example, consider a birth certificate. It may contain information on 3 individuals, an infant, mother, and father. Later, when the infant turns 16, they may appear on a driver's license. This driver will be linked back to their birth certificate. Now we have 2 records, still 3 persons. Eventually, the driver may have children and will appear on a new birth certificate as a parent, along with their spouse and the new infant. Now we have 3 records, 5 persons, and a 3-generation family. As more records are linked to each person, their family history grows. Some families have 12 generations. Many of the records used to create family histories are medical records. UPDB contains diagnosis information from birth, death, fetal death, hospital inpatient, and cancer records. Furthermore, UPDB is linked to another 4.7 million external hospital records in Utah. While UPDB does not store the external hospital records, the links and data can be utilized by approved project investigators. Because UPDB contains individual-level data, access requires approval from the IRB and RGE. Now that we understand what UPDB is, let's discuss the UPDB Limited Query Tool. UPDB Limited is a subset of UPDB with all individual identifying data removed. The limited subset only contains demographic, diagnosis, and pedigree information. This data set is explored with the Query Tool, which is really just a counting tool. The Query Tool provides aggregate counts on any combination of available data, which is grouped under demographics, birth details, diagnosis, procedure, and relationship. Specific person information is not available in the tool. Because of this, no project approval is required. Access to the tool is dependent upon an online data use agreement. This provides researchers an efficient route to obtain aggregate counts to validate a hypothesis or determine if there are a sufficient number of persons available for a study. To illustrate aggregate counts, suppose a researcher is interested in persons who have been diagnosed with colon cancer and have had a colectomy procedure. One would need to search 2 different data sources, cancer records and hospital inpatient records, but with the limited query tool, these 2 data sets can be queried simultaneously. The tool then allows aggregation by a number of different criteria. In this example, we have aggregated by procedure along the x-axis and diagnosis on the y-axis. The actual counts are broken down to the right. We could have aggregated by alive and dead to see how many of these persons are still alive, or we could have aggregated by gender to see if more men or women are getting colon cancer. As you can see, there are many aggregation choices grouped under demographics, birth details, diagnosis, and procedure. You can learn more about aggregation in the video titled Selection versus Aggregation. Going back to the results page, notice the Examine Relationships button at the bottom right of the screen. Because UPDB has family history data, we can examine our cohort of cancer patients and see if any of them are related to each other and to what degree. In this example, we can see that there are 42 first-degree relationships, that is, parents and their children or siblings. For a more in-depth discussion of examining relationships with the limited query tool, see the video titled Cohort Based on Relatives. Family histories also provide the capability to select individuals based on some criteria of a relative. For example, suppose we are interested in mothers diagnosed with chronic pulmonary heart disease that have had children with low birth weight. For illustrative purposes, let's represent our group of mothers with blue circles. Mothers diagnosed with heart disease have a blue heart. Infants are represented as a baby. Infants with low birth weight are represented as a weight scale. Family histories allow us to find mothers diagnosed with heart disease and who've also had a child with low birth weight. To demonstrate how flexible the query tool is, we could have examined children who had a mother diagnosed with heart disease, or we could examine mothers who had children with low birth weight. While these examples focused on a mother-child relationship, queries can be constructed on any first-degree relative. Second-degree relatives and first cousins can also be queried. These are just a few examples of what can be accomplished with the UPDB Limited Query Tool. It has been designed to be intuitive and yet flexible enough to answer many questions posed by health researchers.